This is a human downsizing 2,000 times. Because of the risk of a world population explosion, people with a height of 10 centimeters will eat less and take up less space. They can become rich immediately. Paul and his wife are middle-aged but still poor. They decided to go small. People who want to shrink need to shave off all the hair on their bodies, not to leave even a little. Preparing is done. Paul and the others were pushed into the dental office to have their teeth extracted. Everything is done. They are put in place to zoom out. The door is closed. The machine is started. With just one sleep, Paul can throw away the present life to enjoy the rich life. There was a sound. The miniaturization was completed. The nurses pushed a small car inside and shoveled people with only 10 centimeters into mini beds. They bring mini people into the place of two worlds of intercourse. The people who receive them are the nurses who had been scaled down before. The nurse measured and planted Paul's teeth. Minimization is complete. The nurse brought in a cookie, frightened Paul. It turned out to be just an ordinary cookie. The usual cookie is now enough for Paul to eat for months. At this point, Paul remembered that his wife was not out yet. Then he received a call from his wife. She said that, after shaving her hair, she was scared. She felt she couldn't leave her parents and friends, so she gave up on miniaturization. She's at the airport getting ready to go home. Paul finished listening extremely angry. He wanted to give his wife a better life, so he decided to go small. Yet she left him in the middle of their way. Two people quarreled fiercely. Paul's wife disconnected first, but life must go on. Paul is being introduced into the world of miniature humans by his instructor. The whole world of people is covered by a transparent canvas. In addition to blocking UV rays, it can also prevent intimidation of animals to entering. Life is extremely leisurely and peaceful since the miniature people all use their real identities. The crime rate here is almost zero. What an ideal world. The guide brought Paul to the front of a mansion. It was very magnificent. It was something that Paul never dared to dream of before. Seeing the things for the two prepared in advance, Paul felt extremely uncomfortable. The delivery man carried two extremely large metal rings. That is the wedding ring of Paul and his wife. Then Paul received a divorce petition sent by his wife. Anyway, a 10 centimeters person with a 1m6 person can't be together. Because the property was divided in two, Paul had to move from the mansion to a small apartment building. Paul found a job as a client consultant. The day, Paul bought a flower of normal size. He is chasing a single woman, but it seems the two are not very well suited. Paul walked away in anger. He went to join a party with a neighbor named Dustin. Paul remembered the recent bad luck. He's drunk. The next day he woke up. Dustin told Paul that opportunities were available everywhere. For example, an ordinary cigar can make 2,000 cigarettes in this miniature city. Wines are also extremely profitable. Paul seemed to understand the problem. Paul was attracted by a laborer named Lan with a disability in her legs. Before being downsizing, Paul was a therapist. He actively offered to help her correct her prosthetic leg to alleviate the pain. But she doesn't want that. She wants Paul to accompany her to help her friend who is seriously ill. The two get in the car to go. After exchanging 3 rides, they finally reached the border of the miniature city. He saw a canvas covering the world with a small hole punched out. On the other side of the canvas is a hamlet for the poor. It turns out that even in the miniature world there are people in need. Paul reached Lan's place. The woman's situation in bed was not very good. Paul was only able to give her a few painkillers to temporarily relieve her pain. When Paul fixed Lan's prosthetic leg, she said that, because she was involved in politics, she was arrested and then forced to downsize. After that, when she tried to escape, she lost one leg. Hearing that, he was so impressed with her strength that he accidentally broke her prosthetic leg. After that, Paul was forced to stay there as Lan's assistant. He also has to go to the shops to pack the leftovers and bring them back to the slum for those living alone. A few days later, Dustin wanted to get Paul out of there, so he actively invited everyone to travel. A group of people boarded a boat together to go to Norway. They even rented a boat to carry wine and sausages. Along the way, they meet the person who invented the technique of miniaturization. It turned out that 10 years ago, scientists predicted that the future of humanity would face the problem of digital explosion, resource exhaustion. So they invented the technique of miniaturization. However, over a decade has passed, the population of the world has decreased by only 1/3. Surely, in a few hundred years, man will perish. During this journey, Paul also massaged Lan's legs. At this point, they have reached a place where many people gather in Norway. At the right time, people here are working on a secret project. Because to avoid the apocalypse, the doctor led the natives to dig a 1.6 kilometers long tunnel. The whole tunnel is surrounded by an extremely strong alloy. On the other end of the tunnel is full of plants and animals. It is like an underground boat. They plan to settle here for 8,000 years until the Earth stabilizes. Tomorrow is the day they move out. This dinner is Doctor's last encouragement to everyone. Seeing everyone's enthusiasm and excitement, Paul felt something in his heart. Paul wants to join Lan with them to save the world. But Lan thinks that humanity will perish is also a matter of a few hundred years later. It has nothing to do with the two of them. But Paul recalls his failed life, and stubbornly thinks this is the only thing he can do. The next day, everyone said goodbye to the sun for the last time, and together went into the tunnel. Paul also entered with the luggage. Then he discovered that the tunnel was going up. The person next to Paul told him that to prevent the flood, it only takes 11 hours to climb to the underground city. Paul watched the group of people move away, suddenly feeling confused. Leaving his world once more can really change his life. At the last moment, Paul changed his mind. He rushed towards the exit. Paul ran towards Lan and said sorry to her. Perhaps he was destined to be someone who couldn't do great things. At the end of the movie, Paul and Lan go back to the slums. They began to care for and help people with difficult lives in their mini-world. In fact, science fiction is just the outer sticker of the movie. The film's implication is the danger of middle-aged people. Originally, Paul wanted through miniaturization to change his life, but unexpectedly, life would become even more miserable. Then, he saw that not every person beside him lived a more valuable life than himself. Even the disabled woman living in the hamster neighborhood radiated more fighting spirit and energy than anyone. It is not necessary to do something great, but to truly see your potential. Respecting the present and accepting your normalcy are the right things. Because what is miniaturized is just your appearance, not your life. Today's movie is over.